So you can use a lacrosse ball, a tennis ball, a baseball. I prefer a lacrosse or a tennis ball though, to kind of roll out the plantar fascia of your foot. What I typically tell people to do is to work from the base of your big toe right all the way to your heel, up and or back and forth, up and down your foot. The other thing you can do is kind of zigzag, kind of back and forth between the medial and lateral longitudinal arches of your feet. You can work through the metatarsal heads here, really work on being able to pronate and supinate. But really just kind of work through that plantar fascia, can help release some tension extending up to your Achilles, gastroc soleus, toe flexors, what have you. So an important area to make sure you maintain flexibility in is your gastroc and soleus, and those deep muscles underneath those being your toe flexors, your tibialis posterior. A good thing to use is a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball to work into those areas. You can use a foam roller. Sometimes the foam roller is a little bit too broad and not specific enough. This is an area you want to reach. One thing you can try doing is staying stationary in one area and flexing your foot up and down, and find different spots if you feel not. Kind of work through, find another knot, flex your foot up and down. Good luck. So what we're going to show you here is a little toe flexor stretch. So what you want to get is your toes up against a wall or a box, preferably a box if you're flexible enough, so that the ball of your foot is still on the floor and your toes are bent up and back. Now from here, for some of you, that might be enough of its stretch in itself. If you can go a little bit more, what you want to do is unlock your knee, keeping your heel flat on the floor, and allow your knee to kind of move forward until you feel a stretch wrapping up through the bottom of your foot. It's going to kind of come up back into your Achilles and possibly up your calf. Now the reason why I like a box is because if you get really good at this, you can actually get your knee to still go past your toes. That's ideal. A wall will suffice if you don't have a box you can use. Hold for about 20 to 30 seconds. Relax through the other foot. I always recommend people do this about twice each side. So this is just a real basic gastroc stretch. This is something you should be doing, especially if you're spending a lot of time running around. Really works on your ankle dorsiflexion range of motion. There's two ways to really stretch your quote-unquote calves. So right now I'm working on my gastroc because my knee's extended. If I unlock my knee, I'm actually going to move a little bit lower into the soleus part of my calf. Okay, they both connect into your Achilles. It's important that you work on both of these independent of one another. Now what's important when you're doing that stretch, most people aren't paying attention to the direction of their tibia or where their shin's moving. So a common compensation is they go and they stretch their calf, or they bend their knee and their knee is dropping in, or they start to pronate like this. The problem with that is you're perpetuating a bad movement pattern and a compensatory movement for lack of ankle dorsiflexion. So when you're stretching your gastroc or your soleus, you want to make sure your tib tube here, or the front of your knee, is over the second toe of your foot or slightly outside of it. It's okay if you want to kind of work through these different spots a little bit, that's all right, but really if you're holding a stretch, you need to be over the second toe or outside, or what we'd say lateral to that. If not, you're not working on the right spot. That second toe of your foot is the longitudinal axis of your foot, and that's biomechanically where you're going to be the most lined up for efficient movement.
So these are dorsiflexion racks. What you want to do is you want to start with your toe behind your knee, and you want to make sure your back toe is pointed, plantar flexed. If you feel really tight in your hips, you can pull yourself into dorsiflexion back here. But you're going to start here in this position. You want to keep your chest pressed into your knee, keeping your heel pressed into the ground as long as you can. You're going to bring your knee to the ground. Your heel will slowly lift. Keep your foot flexed so you get a stretch through your toe flexors, and you're going to rock all the way back to your heel. Okay? Really use that chest to press into your knee to create more of a stretch in the back of that leg and through the ankle.
So there's two ways to do this exercise. What we're working on here is ankle mobility, specifically dorsiflexion. The important thing to make sure is when I am facing the band, I need this band to be right on what we call your malleoli, so right on these two big bumps that make up your ankle here, okay? So we want the band right on that. So we can either do it in this position here, where I'm just leaning forward, keeping my heel flat, and working my knee over the second toe of my foot. We can rock here. If you want to advance it and do something a little more challenging, we can go up into a split squat position. Same idea, I'm letting my knee drift forward over the second toe of my foot, so I'm coming back up, okay? Again, we want the band just on or slightly above those ankle bones. So this, we're still working dorsiflexion, we're just working it the opposite way. So notice my band is much lower than it was in the previous video. I have it almost on the top of my foot because I'm putting it across the talus. So here you want the band actually below those ankle bones. So we can do this two ways as well. We can do it in standing, where I'm almost doing like just a little calf raise, and you'll feel like the band is just pulling your foot back. The important thing to note here is all the motion is at the ankle. I'm not really bending my knee. The other way you can do this is dropping a knee to the floor. Same idea as we were doing before. Keep your foot flat. Try to work your knee past the second toe of your foot, keeping your foot flat on the floor.